Now let's talk about the function. So what is the function? Actually, we have used several functions already. Although those functions are pre-built, that means you did not develop it, but you used the function already embedded in PHP. So for example, we have used the date function to get the current date, and even we use the echo function. Echo is also a built-in function. Now, in this slide, I'm showing you how to make your own function. So user developed function. So to make your own function, you declare this with function keyword. And then you name it. So their function name is followed. In this example, I used write my name as a function name. So the function may have some parameters. Parameter means when user call this function, you can provide some additional information using these parameters. Some functions may require parameters. Some functions may not need those parameters. Regardless of the need for parameters, you use this parenthesis as a space where you can get the parameters. In this function, we do not have any input parameters, so inside the parenthesis, there is nothing. But still, you have to add those opening and closing parameters as a part of your function name. Now, if you declare this function, you should make a block of codes that can be executed inside this function. To do this, similar to conditional statements, we use a block with curly brace. So this is very simple function because it will just echo the name Hun Cha, and that's it. So why we are making this function? Because the function is very similar to loop. If there is a logic or a block of code that you have to repeatedly execute, you can make a function and you can call this function as many times as you want. So in this example, after two echo statements like hello world and my name is, we just call these functions write my name. Then when you call this function, it will be called and it will look at where the function is, and inside the function block, it is echo statements, so we will echo Huncha in this place. In this example, we call this function only one time, but in general, if you develop the function, you may call this several places and several times. Now let's test these functions in your code. Okay, in your current directory, let's create a new file, and let's name it as function.php. Okay, so in function.php, we want to edit, so view edit. And as in your editor, let's start with some skeleton code. So let's start with HTML body and one PHP block. So let me copy here. And inside this PHP block, I want to declare a function. So I have a keyword function, and then followed by this, we set up the name. So let's say write. Let me use the same function name, write my name. And since this is a function, you need to add parentheses because sometimes you have to get parameters, sometimes not. But anyway, we have to add this parameter and the function block. And as we have done, let's echo certain text. So here, I will just add my name, but you can add your name. So Hun Cha. And each statements, it must be closed. So here with a semicolon. Okay, so now I will write down function call here. So let me make it a little bit more interesting. Okay, so echo, and then I will say, hey, my name is, and I will close it. And then concatenate this with my actual name. So instead of typing my name, I can just call the function. So write my name function, and there is no parameter. So this is the way how you can call the function. And then we may want to echo one more line to make it interesting. So let's say we want to add, how about line break first? So I will add line break here. And then in the second line, I just want to say that's right. And then I will just say Huncha is my name. So let's say echo, before echo, let's how about call this function one more time. So here, if I call the same function, so it's gonna be Huncha, and then echo, and then one space is my name. How about that? Okay, so let's check whether there is any missing semicolon. Everything looks good. And let's save it and go back to your FileZilla and upload it, and we will test this in the browser. So upload it. Okay, so in your browser, let's test it. Under same directory, we have function.php. So you can see that there is a output. My name is Huncha, and that's right, Huncha is my name. So the same functions has been called 2 times, and that's how we can use function in PHP. So now I would like to show you an example of a function with parameters. So in this example, we have another function, name is add. And again, there is a parenthesis followed by function name. But in this case, you can see there are 2 variables, $x and $y separated by comma. So we can say that this function has 2 parameters, $x and $y. So when user call this function add, based on this syntax, the user must provide 2 inputs, 2 values as well. Using user's input, what we do inside this function, again, function block is curly brace, and inside this, we are adding these 2 numbers. We don't know what numbers the user will provide, but given these 2 numbers, we add them and then assign the sum of these 2 numbers in new variable called total. But in the user side, after calling this function, they are expecting some result, right? So in the previous function, if you remember, we just echo the name here, and there is no returning value. But in this case, actually after you calculate the sum, it is saved in total, but we are not printing out the result inside the function, but we want to return the result. For this, there is a keyword return, and then you can specify which one, in this case total, the variable will be returned. So you can just choose this output value, and you can return it. So this is kind of a typical function structure, function name with some parameters and how to return the final result. So how to use it? In this next line, we echo 1 plus 16 equals 2, and if we want to know the result, what you can do? Just we call this function add, and the 2 parameter 1 and 16 has been added. Then after call this function, the total value will be returned. So the returned value will be just concatenated with this text. So we can test this in actual code. So let's look at this. Okay, so in your directory, let's create a new file. And I want to name it as add uppercase F function.php, add function. Okay, so add function, let's edit it. And let me start with the skeleton code. So let me copy this in this new file, add function. So before we write down the function, let me describe the function add. So add function and adding 2 numbers. So how to define? Start with the function. what's the name? Add, and the parenthesis, start function and ending function. This function has two parameters, so we can set any variable. In the class note, actually, we use x and y, but any variable name can be used. For example, as a kind of practice, let me use a and b. So that does not matter. So a and b, those are numbers. They will be provided from the user when they call the function. Okay, now here inside, we will add these two numbers, provided numbers, a and b will be added. And let's make sum of this. So let's say sum equals to a plus b. And again, each line you must close it with a semicolon. And then there is nothing else. So let me add also one more comment. So we want to return this sum. Okay, so here the keyword is return, return, and the variable that we want to return is sum. That's very simple function. So here, let me demonstrate call the function add. So we will just add the function name and then close it. But in this case, we have to provide two parameters. So we can just put 3 and 4, then the answer will be 7. So you can just simply echo this. And let's test it. So save it. And go back to FileZilla, upload it. In your browser, we have add function. So add function. So now you can get the result 7. So this is how to use a function with parameters. Okay, now before we move on, I want to demonstrate how to use a function with a little bit more interesting examples. So we already developed the sum.php, you may remember. So let me just review this sum.php one more time. So sum.php looks like this. Currently, we are adding numbers from 2 to 10, and it's just even number. Let me change it to the original one. So we want to just add a number from 1 to certain integer numbers. So in this case, 10, and then we can just change it to increment, so plus plus. So this logic, this loop will add the number from 1 to 10, and the final sum would be printed here, right? So I'm going to use this logic, and we want to implement this as a function, and I want to test it, how it will work with some different parameters. So for this, first of all, let's create a new file. In the same directory. Now I want to create a new file, and let's say it's a sum function .php. Okay, sum function .php, let's open it. And in this sum function .php, I will copy the code from our sum.php. So I will copy, and here sum function.php, I will paste it. Okay, so this part, sum and for loop, this is the main logic how to calculate the sum of certain integer numbers from 1 to 10, right? So this part, I will make this as a function. So let's say, so we are going to make a function. And what would be the good name of this function? Let's say sum to n. How about that? So I made a name. So we want to add the numbers from 1 to n, and we will return the result. So here, the parameter, I will just add a parameter like a $n. And let's define this function. And in this function, I will start to add this. So I will just cut it and copy it. So inside this function, if user provide n, we want to add the number from 1 to n. So slightly modify this logic. Still I is 1 and I is used as a counter, but instead of 10, we want to stop where? N, the user provided number. So let's change 10 to n, and then it will stop when I equals to n. So this is the sum of 1 to n. And after you finish your loop, inside this function, what you need to do? Return. So what you are returning? The sum value will be returned. Now here, we want to test this function. So I want to test this 2 times. So first, the sum of 1 to 5. And then I also want to test the sum of 1 to 10. So how can we get the result of this? So we can call the function sum to n function. And then what's the parameter? 5 would be parameter. Then it will return the result of the sum from 1 to 5. So let me just add echo and the sum of 1 to 5, and then I want to concatenate this result. Okay. After then, yes, it may be a good idea to add line break. So let me use HTML line break here. These echo statements will be repeated here. So we are calling this function one more time. But if you want to get the sum from 1 to 10, we can change this parameter to 10. That's it. So you can reuse a function as many times as you want. So this example may give you some ideas of how to efficiently use a function. So now let's test it, save it, upload in your browser. Instead of add function, let's test the sum function. And then you can see that sum of 1 to 5 is 15. Sum of 1 to 10 is 55. So this demonstrates the power of a function after you make a common logic, how you can efficiently use them as many times as you want in any place.